he stood up, and I'm sorry. Shall I start over? I was born the son of a poor black sharecropper. No, but Aaron dedicated himself, worked hard, ended up at San Francisco State, which is a really prestigious but really tough school for mathematics. And after a year or so, you know, the dark clouds came back into his head, and I think he's probably 1 or 2 semesters away from getting, you know, a degree in big boy mathematics from that school, which would have meant a lot. Ditched it, ran away, and he came and he lived with Caroline and me in Ojai, and that's when he said, I want to be an online poker player. And you know, when he went to Providence, the administration informed me that they were giving me a $10,000 scholarship based on his math SAT scores. I mean, he didn't even apply for it. You know, that's how clueless he was, and me and all of us, but they gave it to him because he was a genius. And I would sit there and watch him play on his computer screen 4 online Texas Hold'em tournaments, and he would say, oh, that guy already burned the 9, that guy already burned the, you know, and I'm thinking, I can't even count cards if I was playing Go Fish. He was that way, but it was his genius, but it was also in a way, I think, his curse. He liked to live in his head. He liked to be alone. He got a job installing high-end audiovisual stuff for rich people in Ojai. He excelled at it. He was always the guy who didn't have $2 in his pocket, but knew that the best restaurant and the best audiovisual thing and all that. I don't know. I still, to this day, don't know how he knew all that stuff. That job fell apart. But before it fell apart, the owner of the company got him a job doing the same thing in Santa Barbara, in Montecito. He excelled. People loved him. And then, you know, one day I called him up and I said, so how's the job going? And he said, I quit it. He ran away again. He said, you know, Dad, I don't think I'm a 9-to-5 guy. And I said, well, of course you are. It's just the 9 o'clock starts p.m. and you know. And that was the dark days of Aaron. He was living in the Ventura house, and the people next door got word to us that they were thinking that he was in some sort of abusive relationship, and because they would hear screaming at 2 and 3 in the morning, and eventually somebody got up and peeked in the window, and there was nothing going on. It was just Aaron sitting at the dining room table in front of his computer, yelling at, you know, the people he was playing poker with. And that's when the second angel of mercy came into his life, and that's when he met KT. I think, you know, he was in his late 20s. He was really hurting. He was really confused. He was 30. Yeah, he was confused. He never had a vision of what would make him happy in his life until he met KT. And they went out for a while, and eventually they took each other's hand and said, let's try this, okay? And they went down that road, being an adult. 5 years and less 1 month ago, right here in AG, they got married. I think shortly after that, at Ben's wedding, they watched Nina run like the crazy girl she is with a bunch of little kids, and they said, let's try that too. And Etta came, and they found a way to have a happy family. You know, Aaron. I mean, all the times that we would go and visit them, I never saw Aaron so happy and so uncluttered with all of the shit that is life, as when he was holding Etta and when he was playing with her, and he taught her so much, you know, including Sports Center 24 hours a day. Anyway, they finally scraped the money together to buy their first house. KT got pregnant again, another beautiful little girl. You know, the bright sun of life was finally starting to shine under the closed doors of their life, and they, you know, everything was opening up. It was all going to be so great, and then this shit happened, and I don't know, you know. I have sort of decided to be pissed off rather than heartbroken, although I am heartbroken. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. Thank you all, from our extended family. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for loving our boy and his family. And you know, there are a lot of people who lit prayer candles for Aaron when he was in the hospital, and a lot of people who have said prayers in church and all that. And you know, I just want to say that if you're in communication with God, I have one question for him, or her, whatever it is, and that question is, what the fuck? You know, this was not right. This didn't need to happen. He lived his whole life dedicated to creating the smallest footprint ever. He didn't want to be a big deal. He just wanted to get along. He just wanted to be happy with his family, and he was. And so I'm going to set this down. I'm sorry for, you know, letting loose my anger, but I hope that all of you will come and pick up the microphone and remember our beautiful boy. Okay, thanks.
Anybody have anything to add? Stories are great.
I got a million Aaron stories. For those of you that don't know me, I'm John Hodges. I'm Aaron's stepdad. And but I met Aaron when he just turned 3, and I was blessed with learning family life with Aaron and Jenny and Melanie, and I knew from the very beginning that when I met Aaron that he was a very special young guy, and which really didn't surprise me, because really had 2 extraordinary parents, Melanie and Steve. But and I'll just give you a short story that really captures Aaron in my view. I think Jenny was about 9, and she was struggling with long division, and so she came to me and said, I want some help with my long division problem. So I sat down with Jenny and I gave her what I thought was a beautiful theoretical exposition on how she needed to do this, and she didn't get it, and she just was pretty much just show me how to do the problem, and so and I was frustrated, she was frustrated, and I think Aaron was maybe 5, and I knew he was a bright kid, and so I thought, well, I'm going to try this out on him. And he had done his adding. I think he had doing some basic math in kindergarten or something. And so I sat down with him. I said, okay, Aaron, let me take you through things. And we went through some of his adding problems, and then we did some subtraction. And they said, okay, we're going to do something called multiplication. And so we started to do some simple multiplication, and he got that. It wasn't like that was something that was tough for him. He just did it. And then we got to division. And sure enough, and this took about 20 minutes, he was doing long division, not just 2 into 8. You know, we were carrying numbers, and I was blown away by it. And so I thought I'd really stretch him. And then we started to solve for some unknowns. So he was doing basically simple algebra. He's a 5-year-old kid. And I was congratulating myself on being a really great teacher, but actually it was in him. That was just, in 20 minutes we probably could have been doing quadratic equations if I could have figured out how to do it. So, and that was Aaron, and he wasn't impressed with himself because that was just what he did. It was like, okay, I just did that, now let's go play Star Wars. And that was the way he was his whole life. He was just an amazing guy when it came to capturing the most abstract concepts, and his academics showed it. It was very easy for him, but it wasn't, you know, he didn't have to show you he was the smartest guy in the room. He just was, and you'd get it. So, and he didn't want to make a big footprint. Steve really got that about what a wonderful person Aaron was, and how amazingly bright he was, and we're going to miss him.
So I'm Justin, and I've known Aaron since we were in 3rd grade, and we actually met just over the hill. We lived on Saratoga, and I lived on like 3rd, and he was on 5th, I think. And I mean, you know, you all have your, you know, the person that you met, like your first friend, your first like friend, and that was Aaron. And we would go to the butterfly fields, and we would go to the lagoons over here and try to get to the island in the middle. We would make little rafts and try to mess around. I mean, in 3rd grade, I don't know, we'd run around and go to the, it was funny just driving around town. I mean, we're up in San Francisco now, so I don't spend as much time in AG as I used to, but on 4th Street there's a little liquor market that Aaron and I used to go to, and we would just give the cashier hell. We would just give them, so like we'd buy those little gumball packages that have all the gumballs in them, and go play Indiana Jones and just driving by and seeing all these old places. It's crazy. But I was lucky enough to go and live with Aaron and Steve and Tony and everyone in London at one point. And you know, that's the kind of thing that, like, for me, it completely put my life on this whole different track, where thanks to Aaron and to Steve and the family, that, like, it opened my whole perspective to what the world is and what's, I don't know, what's out there. And that was it's like one of those pinnacle things in your life. You get to see the world in this way. And Aaron and I ran around London, and I remember we went to Ireland to go look at, we were looking for site locations for The Princess Bride. And for those of you who've seen it, the Cliffs of Moher, when Andre the Giant's climbing the cliff, climbing. And we were there, and we were like there, and I was a little kid, and I got to see Andre the Giant. I got to see this Ireland, this whole different place. This, like, what third grader gets to see that? And we went to a little coffee shop, I remember, and Steve ordered a coffee, and Aaron ordered a hot chocolate, and I was like, I'm gonna get a coffee. And I got a coffee, and it was terrible. It was awful. First coffee, that was my first coffee, was with Aaron and Steve in Ireland. And I mean, that was such a lucky time for me, and to spend that with him. And we came back and just stayed friends forever. And he moved around the corner, and it just, like, last night and the last couple of days, seeing some people reminded me about things that I didn't even remember. I remember, well, Jenny, you reminded me that I ate Steve's breakfast in London. Remember that, Steve? It was delicious, I'm sure. Thank you. And there was a point at which, like, I was taking Aaron on my mom's bike back to his house on the Pike, and he was sitting on the handlebars, and they collapsed on the front tire, and he was closer to the front, so he just did a little fall, and I did a big fall, and I landed right on my head, and he was there, and then he went to go get Brian, and he came down, and I had a concussion, apparently, because I kept asking Brian and Aaron, like, are you okay? What's going on? And something else, like 45 times, just like over and over and over and over and over. And I was like, just all these random memories of your, you know, your oldest friends. It's so crazy. So I don't know. One thing that I will always keep, like, I mean, as close to my heart as ever, were the summers that we would spend down in Pasadena at Steve and Tony's place, and we would play basketball back there, and they had the little black bottom thing, and it was so much fun, and we played basketball, and, like, for me, just having those memories are some of the best kind of summertime things that I remember ever from my childhood, and that home and those times were really special. We were there, in fact, during there's a Pasadena earthquake or whatever, something happened. We were there, and threw me out of bed, and I looked up at Aaron, and he was like, holy shit, what's happening? That was my first earthquake. I had my first earthquake with Aaron in Pasadena. That was crazy. So I don't know. I didn't really prepare anything to, you know, say, but I think that Aaron always was the one that would bring people together and would leave, like, just the best kind of thing, like anything that somebody could take away from the situation, he would leave them with the best experience or the best memories, or I don't know. I loved him. He was great. So I don't know. I could go on and telling stories that no one else was around for, but I love him and I miss him, and I love, you know, everybody who was here. So
Love you.
thanks, guys.
Oops, don't go anywhere, pups. Oops, whoops. Steve, can you grab the dogs, please? So my name is Caroline Thompson. I am one of Aaron's two stepmothers, the other being Tony Devereaux. I did not have the joy of knowing Aaron as a little boy. I met him when he was 19. We did spend a tremendous amount of time together. We actually lived together, but we lived different shifts. I had the day shift, he had the night shift. He was playing poker all night and I was asleep, or trying to, as he yelled at the computer. But one thing that's been amazing about this horrible experience is the love that's come Aaron's way and our way from people who never met Aaron. And this morning on Facebook, one of those people called David Goldsmith, who happens to be the son of the most interesting man in the world, the Dos Equis guy, who said, what, stay thirsty, my friend. So anyway, so this is from the son of the stay thirsty, my friend guy. Steve posted a picture this morning, and this is Goldie's response. I see this picture and I think to myself, what lucky guys. He had an amazing adventure in this life. Yeah, it was too short, but wow. And the cherry on top is that you, Steve, are his dad. Now it's getting too dark. You gave him his perspective. You gave him your essence. You shared with him what mattered. Steve, it's horrible loss for sure, but the legacy of his influence is what is today's celebration. You are an amazing friend, brilliant and important human being. Thus so was your son. All that surround you are blessed. If by chance you catch a reflection of yourself today, look closely and remember that. It's a sad day for sure. It is also another amazing day with you for everyone. Love you, love to your family, and most of all, love to the memories that will always be. Big hug to you guys. Oh, and remember to breathe. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, I'll try to talk through what it was like to share my youth with Aaron, but I think most of the stories I'll have to keep to myself, except for a couple key memories here. The first time I met Aaron was in math class in 7th grade, where he was bored and I was puzzled and challenged. And at that point in my life, you know, he was the guy that was wearing the Boys in the Hood jacket from the movie, and the kind of best thing that could happen would be as if you got to possibly wear that for the day and give it back. And so that was my real first frame of reference for you know, Aaron and kind of the intelligence and kindness and everything that he really was for all of us. But you know, we did continue on through high school, and he was my prom date, and I was so honored to be his prom date. Even though he was so shy, he basically had Eric Chandel tell me that we were going to be prom dates. And you know, I think he would be really pissed at me for telling the story, but if there's any place to tell the story, it's here. Jenny happened to be graduating from college the weekend of our prom, and Aaron had a great idea. Let's have the party at my mom's house. And he was smart about it, as he was about these sorts of things. He was responsible. He had a complete plan. Many of us were part of how this was pulled off. We duct taped the windows so there was no noise that would come out. We visited the neighbors ahead of time and let them know this is the number to call if you have any complaints. Do not call the police. We of course wanted to make sure nothing was ever broken or damaged or breathed on wrong. So we moved every single possession, including things that were hung on the walls, into the back rooms of the home, and we barricaded the doors so it was all preserved. And then we went on to have probably the most memorable party of my teenage years. We made a pile of people that were too wasted to stand up anymore. I think probably 50 people stayed the night at the house. We had the whole football team on the front lawn as our bouncers. He invited the school. So, I mean, anyone that's here that was in high school with us, I mean, you were at that party, there's no question. I think relationships started and stopped during that party. It was epic. And even though we were still wasted the next morning, we had taken pictures, or at least I did. We had Polaroid pictures of where to put things back on the walls. And I think the only thing that was really said was, you know, the house is really clean. And why is, you know, this odd thing in our freezer? But that was like the only mess up that we had. So thank you, Jenny, for graduating when you did. And he never wanted that story to come out, really, so I'm very sorry, but you know, you made us all a great memory that time. And I have so many more memories, but it's really tough to lose someone that you spent your teens and 20s with and try to sum it up in a couple stories. There's so much music that, you know, continues to remind me of Aaron. If you were close to him during the era of CDs, he loved making mixed CDs, and I moved and actually found about 5 months ago probably 25 mixed CDs that Aaron would make, and he would make them and start distributing them to friends and family. And I mean, that was the soundtrack of my 20s, at least. He was brilliant in a way that I don't know if I've really met anyone else that was brilliant in that way. He was mathematical genius, which everyone can speak to, but I was studying for the bar, I mean, not the bar, the law school admission test, when we were together, and I was struggling with the content. It wasn't a good fit for me. I should have seen the writing on the wall at that point, but Aaron was my reader because I have a visual impairment, and so he was reading me the test questions and, you know, helping me practice, and I was just shocked. Everything that I learned in my test prep course and that he had not taken, he was able to explain to me. And, you know, he had none of the content, none of the information. It's just like in AP Physics. We didn't even have the textbooks to be able to take the AP Physics exam, you know, and compete. He passed that and got a score that was worth college credit. You know, he didn't have to take any of the lessons he knew.
Into the trailer now.
It's very difficult to try to speak about the rest of it, but I do have to say that if you really love someone, the only thing you want for them is happiness. And, you know, I know from a great distance, because I didn't have any involvement in his life in the end, but, you know, he was really, really happy. And if there's anything that I can dwell on, that's what you want for someone that you love. And so to just try to seal it in that moment of knowing that you achieve that nectar from the gods is, I'm happy for that. And I know that you can always carry someone with you through the memories, and I'm sure that a lot of us will.
I'm Ben. I'm his younger brother. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I'll try. I'll try to make it through. Everyone that has an older brother understands that you always look up to them and you always want to be like them. And the same was with me. I always wanted him to be proud of what I did and be stoked for me, and I always wanted to be part of his crew, as the Delias and that whole Rat Pack, understand? I didn't want to say the wrong thing when I was around him. I just wanted to be a part of the group. And super funny story is, as everybody knows, we had a 7-Eleven by our house, and we went there and we'd get a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper and a huge bear claw, and I was like, this is a stupid idea, but I'm gonna eat it, because he was like, hey, this is what we do, and I had to be a part of the group, and I got super sick, but I carried that on to my friend group. Colin probably understands. And so I always wanted to just super sad to lose him. I always wanted him to be proud. He has such a rad family. He loved his music, and I remember when, this is a funny story with my sister. I would sit at the counter, and when it was his turn to do the dishes, and it would take him like an hour and a half to get ready to do the dishes, because he'd have to have his boombox there, and like all the right music and the best music. And I was like 5, and so I'd sit there and watch him, and it would literally take him an hour to get ready to do 12 minutes of dishes. At least. Yeah. And I always loved his music, and we would listen to the Beastie Boys, and I would drive around in this shitty Blazer, and we would drive way too fast, and I'd feel like the coolest kid that existed when I got to sit shotgun and not in the trunk, because all of his friends, Butler and Gillies and everybody was sitting there. But I'm gonna miss him, and I really appreciate everybody that's here. And super hard to make it through without my friends' support. Lindsay, you've been awesome. My sister's been great. Really hard, but thanks everybody for being here. I really appreciate it.
Hi everybody, my name is Michael Barbosa. The first time I met Aaron, I was in the 5th grade. Got a couple of friends over here who knew him at the same time, Sean Ventrini, Justin Butler, Andy Soul, Anna Pinio, Luke Davis. I hate to say this, but there were 2 sides of Aaron. There was the side that the family knew, and there was the side that we knew. I gotta tell John, Melanie, Steven, he was a good little thief. Okay?
we'd go to the 7-Eleven on the Pike, and he had the money for it. But this kid would walk out with a double gulp with a little plastic clip on it, full of Slurpee. He weighed maybe 75 pounds, soaking wet, with a couple of lead weights on him added. And this kid would come out with everything, Abzaba, Jolly Ranchers. And he was the coolest kid. He's the one that introduced me to Justin Gillia. One of the coolest cats I've ever known. You know, there was a reason he was kind of so open around us. He knew that if anybody said anything to him, we'd take care of him. There was one time, Sean Ventrini's house backed right up to North Oceano Elementary School, which is now Fairgrove, but North Oceano to us locals. Sean calls us and he says, "Hey, I have a bunch of wrist rockets, and we can check to see exactly how strong these windows are to our 6th grade class." So my dad being a auto technician, there was a bunch of little steel ball bearings. He had a bucket full of these things. So I came over one morning with about 50 pounds worth, like 5-gallon bucket, almost full of steelies. And for about a half an hour, we tried to break those plexiglass windows, but to no avail. Like I said, on Facebook, we got fake IDs with Toby Dart over there. That was extremely sketch. I'll never forget the look on Steven's face when he asked if, "Hey, do you guys want some beer?" And actually we said, "Hey, do you want some beer?" So we're at Dodger Stadium. I think it was a two beers per person. And I'll never forget the look on Steven's face when Aaron offered him a beer. It was awesome. He was one of the honorary godfathers for my first son, Sean, who's not here unfortunately. Aaron was the smartest guy in our group, by far. We all knew it. He had a knack for math. It just came to him absolutely naturally. I'm sorry, just like Justin, I didn't prepare anything, but he meant that much to me that I had to say something. And like I said, Toby Dart, Sean, and all them, we've known him for an extremely long time, and this is messed up. And I understand your anger, but at the same time, it did bring us all here. I love that guy, and I will never forget him. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Joe Giglia, and I met Aaron when Justin said, "There's this kid in the 3rd grade class, Mom, you have to meet his mother because you're an artist and she's an interior desecrator, and so you two should get along." And they did. But, a lot of stories I'm not going to go into, but one in particular I would just like to point out, and that was, Steve reminded me of it, the basketball tournament. We were in Las Vegas, and Aaron was a small guy. You know, he was a guard, and he rode the bench a lot. And Justin got his face knocked off in one of these games and lost a few teeth, and we went to the dentist in town who put his teeth back in his mouth. And when we came back to the game, we found out that Aaron had come off the bench draining what would be 3-point shots, although I don't think they were at that time, hitting a bunch of long distance shots, and he saved the game and won it. And we came back and everybody was really excited, you know, because Aaron had lifted the team and won it, and all he wanted to know was, Justin, are you all right? And that pretty much says it all, because he cared so much for everybody else. Anyway, Sven the dude over here. That's Ben for those of you, but he's been Sven the dude since he was in a stroller to me. And Aaron has always been Ski, and he will continue to be.
So it seems like nobody else wants to say anything. So I'm going to ask everybody to close their eyes and drop their chin down to their... What? Oh, good. I was going to recite the lyrics to Aaron's favorite song from the 60s, which is "Roll another one just like the other one." That's a joke, actually. The famous Toby Dart.
That's terrible. I also met Aaron in elementary school, played basketball with him, ran the streets with him, rode bicycles with him. We got, you know, tons of stories. Mike Barbosa can go ahead and tell his fake stories about fake IDs and all that such. But the one thing that I carry with me about Aaron, and if any of you, I mean, you all knew him, so it's something that you guys all understand, is he was just such a giving guy. He always wanted everybody else to have a good time. Just everybody was going to have a good time when they were around Aaron. Whatever it was that they wanted to do, whatever it was that made them happy or have a good time, whether it was going to a sporting event. I remember New Year's Eve or New Year's Day one year, I might have been, what, 23, 22 at the time, and I had stayed out all night somewhere, and I get to my mom's house and I'm looking for my brother, and my brother's gone. I said, where'd Josh go? And she said, oh, Aaron called. He just so happened to have a spare ticket to the Rose Bowl. So he called and he was looking for you, but since you weren't here, Josh answered the phone and Josh went to the Rose Bowl with Aaron for free. And you guys, and you know, that just was Aaron really in a nutshell. If he had something, he was going to share it with you. If he was going to have a good time, he's going to bring you along just so that you could experience it. I was very fortunate to have known and loved Aaron, and I was also very fortunate for Aaron to have known and loved me. He will always be one of those people in my heart that, like I said, he just wanted to share a good time, and he wanted to see people have a good time. Like he really enjoyed that. I got to go to Hawaii with Aaron. Just, hey, you want to go to Hawaii? Sure, let's go. My dad's going, and so you can come along with us if you'd like. you know, the stories like that, everybody here has them. They're endless with that guy. It was constant, you know, and then he just always exuded that, you know, let's have a good time. Whatever it is you want to do, we'll figure it out. We'll have fun. We'll go to games. We'll smoke a joint. We'll do whatever it is that you want to do. But we're just going to have a good time while we do it. I love him. I love you, buddy. I miss you, buddy. And have fun wherever you're at, man. Just do it. Do the damn thing. Just keep on doing it, because we love you, and we miss you, and we always will. That's all I have to say.
On the Friday that Aaron passed, we were in the hospital, and I went down the corridor to take a piss, and I came back, and there was Toby Dart in the room, and I said, wait, I know you. Yeah, really. And it was like a dream. It was I don't know, you know. This whole experience has been sort of hallucinogenic a lot. But anyway, anybody else want the stick?
Excuse me. Everyone has their own experience with this is just it. Aaron treated me with the most respect that I could ever imagine from any of my friends. Everyone thought of me as a cut up, as a guy who was just a jokester. Aaron saw through that. He saw me as the person who I really am. He treated me with respect. He believed in me. He pumped me up. When I was a young man, he came and visited me when he was in San Francisco State. He came and visited me up in the Walnut Creek where I was living. Came out, played basketball with me. There was an innate understanding between the two of us. His soul was so good and clean and just pure. It's not right. I'm sorry.
Keep on, Jess. You can do it.
Just so much respect.
Here's my old dear friend Jan.
Hello, I'm Jan Monroe. I'm friends in order, chronological order, with Tony Devereaux, whom I met in '74 in Berkeley. Then with Steve, whom I met, I think, 1980. Then with Jenny and Aaron, whom I met at the same time as I met Steve in about 1980, 81, I guess. And then Carolyn, who, as it turns out, has been friends of my family's in Washington, D.C., a cousin of mine since she was a child. So I feel like I've known everybody for a long, long time. And I've known Aaron since, I guess he was probably about 4 or 5. And I lived down on Washington Boulevard in Los Angeles, which was pretty rugged back in those days. Washington House, and for amusement, we just kind of climb up, it was in a warehouse, and we'd climb up on the roof and watch the kind of like street fights that were going on and stuff like that. And one time Steve and the kids came over, and Tony came over because we were all going to go out to lunch, and we were up on the roof. And Aaron's kind of looking over, watching what's going on. It's like, wow, there are a lot, but you know, over the years I would meet him about every 4 years, and I remember he would be a little bit more of a child, a little bit more of a man. You know, when he was 8, he would kind of be curious about things, and we wouldn't talk a lot, but you know, we would talk a little bit, and he would always respond, and he would always respond with curiosity and with respect to somebody he didn't really know that well. Then you'd bump into him, and he was about 17 and all knows, like 17-year-olds tend to be, and he would be, you know, asked a lot of funny questions, but he would always pay attention, and we'd kind of talk a little bit. And one time, I think he was in his 20s when he was doing film editing at that time. And I said, well, how's it going? He said, oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I dropped out of college. I did this, I did that. Nothing's turning out. I said, don't worry about it. Einstein, how much did he fuck up before he became a genius? Don't worry about it. And about 5 or 6 years later, we bumped into each other again, and I don't remember the context, and I was kind of complaining about my life. He says, don't worry about it. Einstein fucked up how many times, and he was a genius. So I said, thanks, Aaron. Thanks a lot. There are a lot of things in this world that don't make any sense to me at all. This really, really, really makes no sense to me at all. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible, awful thing. You know, I understand death is part of it for all of us, but this one isn't right. It just ain't right. And I think all of us feel that, and you know, it's too bad. And I hope that his spirit will live on in those he left behind and those of us who are here now. So thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Come on, Jenny. Well, on behalf of, who is? Oh, good.
I hate speaking on a microphone, but here goes. My brother and I fought a lot when we were kids. We were very competitive. When we lived in North Hollywood, we would come home from school and make a giant tub of popcorn, and then we would race each other to make sure the other one didn't get more than us. It was like 30 seconds. We almost choked a couple times, but I always won.
That's why I don't like popcorn.
And that's why Ben does not like popcorn. Anyway, this is just gutted our family, and I still can't believe it happened. He struggled so much in life, and it was hard to watch sometimes because you felt like he had so much potential but never found the right route or right thing for him. And I feel like he finally found it with KT and his girls, and it's just really unfair. I was there for the last week and a half of his life, and I don't know if all of you know this, but he was supposed to be intubated so that his lungs could heal, and then extubated, which means like the tubes are coming out. 5 days later, go home and wait for the next round of chemo. which obviously didn't happen. So it just pulled the rug out of all of our lives, and it's been really hard, but we appreciate that everyone is here honoring his memory. So thank you, and squeeze your loved ones tonight and every night, and make sure they know you love them. That's all.
John Sterling, you want to say something? Okay. I will say one thing, you know, as a parent, you know, you always worry about your kids when they're little and they run out. Did they run out chasing a ball in the street and get hit by a car, or their childhood diseases, or in today's world, kidnapping, and then they get a driver's license and the worries get. But you never worry about them when they finally figure out how to be an adult and have their own family, and it has been just the most bizarre experience, you know. You just never fucking understand it. And here is Sir Galahad himself. I mean, my fucking hero.
I'm John. I'm Aaron's cousin. I'm gonna be real short. Anyway, so I had the privilege the last couple of years to live in Vegas with Aaron, and of course we'd see each other a lot, so family gatherings and stuff before that, but we hadn't been able to spend a lot of time together like we had recently. And well, first, I guess, we used to go to a lot of baseball games together. We go to UNLV games, not as many as we liked because he had this thing called a family that kept him tied to home. But his ability to, we'd go to a game, oh, it's 3:30. He'd say, hey, meet me at, hang on, Fred's Casino has 25-cent beer between 3 and 3:15. It didn't matter. He could tell you where to go in the city to have the best time, the best meal, whatever it was. And I will tell you that in the last couple of years, he was a profoundly happy man. A beautiful wife that he loved to death, and obviously Etta. And the last thing that I'll say is that I have daughters, and all we can do in this family apparently is make girls, which is not a bad thing. And he was, I'll tell you, the nicest compliment that anyone can ever give me is that you're a good dad. And I can't, I mean, you're a good dad does not cover Aaron. He was an incredible father with that little girl. And again, he was just joy and a light. And that's all.
Well said. Anybody else? Otherwise, you know, let's get drunk.
Hi, my name's Luke. That's okay. I could tell a lot of stories like Michael told and Toby told, and I just remember Aaron being that shining light, you know, that guy that no matter how you're feeling that day, he was the guy who would bring joy to your day and would lift you up. And I wasn't as close as as those guys, but going through the changes and all that life brings through junior high and high school, I considered him one of my friends and one of my best friends, and it was an honor to have him consider me his friend as well. And I didn't know of the darkness and the hard times that he went through. Tonight was the first time I had heard of all those times, and it broke my heart because I went through those same hard times and by myself, and they're deep and they're dark and they're scary and they're sad and they're hard, and some people never recover from that. And the fact that it sounds like Aaron did is a testament to his character and his strength and the person that he was put on this earth to be. The fact that he came out of that alive, and then came out of it with love and having it reciprocated by his wife, and to have two beautiful daughters is incredible. And I wrestled growing up, and I always during wrestling you're starving, and it's not a time you want to depart from this world. And in that darkness, and now having found the light that it sounds like Aaron found with his wife and his daughters, I have two daughters myself, and in that darkness I wanted to disappear. I wanted to be gone. And maybe he did and maybe he didn't, but to have found the light first, I hope and I pray that we can find solace in that, and knowing that it's not fair to the rest of us. It's not fair to the ones left behind, his parents, the people raised him, his children, his wife. It's not fair at all. But the fact that he passed happy is, I'm gonna have to hang on to that and pray that the rest of us do too. So thank you for letting me be a part of this and being a part of Aaron's life. And yeah, love you all.
Thank you, brother. Anybody else? Okay. No. You know, I just never fucking wanted to come to this moment where we say goodbye to Aaron. I never fucking wanted, ever. Speak.
Hey everybody. So I'm Brian Gilia. I'm Justin's younger brother. I was the tweener of the group. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate having everybody together. They had a Rat Pack. I wanted, much like Ben, to run with the crew. I ended up being the guy that they just beat up on. And I'm better for it. You know, it's unfair. It's tragic. But at this point, all we can do is be together. I remember texting with Ben on that Friday night. And my brother showed me the text that Aaron was sharing with him as he was going through it. And, you know, he really revealed his, I mean, he was true to himself the whole way. He was funny about it. His text says, Justin, I've got cancer. It's a bummer, but I'm gonna beat it, and I'm not gonna be an asshole about it like Lance Armstrong.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
And that was Aaron, and we love him. So at this point, let's all just be together and love him together.
Thank you, my man. Okay. The ocean is to our right. Let's all just get in it and drown. I'm only kidding. But really, from the Cassins, from the Nicolaides, from the Devereaux, from the Thompsons, you know, we, and the Sabianis, of course, especially from Nina, we thank you so much, and from the Hodges as well. Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, California marriages are so... Anyway, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much for coming here tonight, and wishing our beloved little cool brother a safe trip into whatever comes next. So there you go. Yeah, Elvis has left the building. No, Aaron has left the building.